Hey, and a very warm welcome to the Into the LightWeb podcast with me, your hostess, Joanna Hunter, metaphysical teacher, spiritual life and business coach, published author, and the high priestess of the LightWeb, a spiritual technology that will change your life. This is the place to be to talk everything under the LightWeb, from consciousness, relationships, to money, to spiritual business, and everything in between. Hi, and a very warm welcome. It's Joanna Hunter here for another episode of Into the LightWeb podcast, and we are on my $1 Million Lab series, and I am joined by the gorgeous Alicia Macpherson. Hello, warm welcome. Come and tell people all about you and what you do in the world.
I can. Thanks for having me on here. I'm so excited to be here with you and share this energy. I am a naturopathic doctor, so I help high-performing women, ambitious women regulate their hormones, metabolism, so that not only can they achieve a body that they're in love with, but they have the energy and the mental clarity and the confidence to keep up with the demands of their life. Life can be very tired and burnt out, and a lot, especially in the last year. So just helping women navigate that stress response so that they can stay calm and cool in any situation. So I've been working with women for, I'm going to say, about 3 years now, helping them navigate and step into their power. And then recently started working with other naturopathic doctors to help them get their voice out there. Because what I've learned in the last year is that our voice needs to be heard, and we need to help people with immunity and stress and all their health concerns. So I also help women practitioners step into that power as well.
Why, it's really, really needed. So you probably don't know a lot about my story, but I had a massive burnout that resulted in multiple organ failure. And it was completely stress induced. And of course, I had the aftermath of that, because I was told I wasn't going to survive, and I did. But the aftermath of that was things like chronic fatigue, chronic unexplained pain syndrome. I had complete adrenal exhaustion. And my adrenal glands were completely burnt out. And I think I always feel like, I'm a real Virgo, so I kind of like to analyze the crap out of everything, basically. But I really think that a contributing factor to my burnout was something that I call the more and more culture. And I think so many people are in that more and more culture. It's like, it's never enough, and it's just like, and you get somewhere, you get to a goal, and it's like, what's the next one? What's the next one? And it just gets this rat race in a way. And I think so many people, even people who don't even have to be an entrepreneur, I think people even in employment are like that. It's the next thing, it's the next thing, it's the next thing, and it takes an extreme toll on the adrenal glands and things like that. So it's lovely to talk to you about health in a way, because I think it's such an important, kind of often very overlooked part of entrepreneurial, being the entrepreneurial journey. And you're really only as good as what your body's going to allow you to be in any moment, right? Because if you're like completely burnt out, crispy around the edges, and you're so tired, what is there left to give? And it was a real extreme thing. So tell me what sort of work that you do with women to start getting them back onto that health path again, of reclaiming, because I found my journey of reclaiming my health was a very difficult journey, but it was a very empowering journey. It was really empowering to kind of take power over my health, which is not something I'd ever really considered to take power over before.
Right, totally. And most entrepreneurs are definitely in that journey of it's never enough. Starts off never enough hours put in, and not enough money, not enough clients. And we're entering into this vicious cycle of having to do more, be more, and it's never enough. And yes, that's totally skyrocketing our cortisol, messing up our other hormones, messing up our metabolism, and then leaving us depleted. And I know for me, when I started this entrepreneurial journey, I had to decide that my health was number one. So I'm going to take care, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do the things that I know to take care of me, because I knew I'd be able to go further, go faster if I was completely stepping into my highest potential. That was going to keep my mind clear. It's going to keep my body efficient so that I could accomplish all my goals. So I especially love working with women, because in success and entrepreneurship, there tends to be this focus on the push and the force and the hustle and that masculine model of success, I call it, for my entrepreneurs. And we forget about the wisdom of the female body. We forget about our power and how we hold this magic in our bodies. And a lot of us, especially as women, brush that off, right? We're told our feelings don't matter. We told that we need to ignore our hormones and the fluctuations, that we should be feeling the same, doing the same, expecting that the same performance day to day, when really we have this beautiful rhythm. Like every week our hormones are fluctuating. And I really stepped into like my highest potential and power when I started working with those rhythms, when I understood my body was this beautiful flow. And instead of fighting it and resisting it and saying like, no, 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 I'm going to perform the same way as my male counterparts, I decided, no, I'm going to perform like a woman. And that's when I really took off in my business, because I stayed right in my feminine power every single step of the way.
I love that. I love that. And there is so much power in connecting with our feminine power. And even if you're a guy listening to this, like, when we talk about feminine, masculine, we both have those traits. We have those traits, whether we're whatever gender we identify as, or even is non-binary, we still have a masculine and a feminine trait in there as well. I think that it is very overlooked, and I feel like a big part of my healing journey. I love that you said we don't listen to our feelings, because that was a big part of my feeling journey, or my feeling and my healing journey, was to start listening to my feelings, start listening to the feedback that I was receiving in my body. Because before, it was, everything was kind of suppressed, pushed down, and ignored for the hustle. And now my saying that I have in my business is that hustle is for people who don't know how to flow. And, and so I just very intuitively in that healing journey learned to start flowing with my natural rhythms, which I now honor as what I call the ebb and the flow. And I love that that was your decision from day one, which I can guarantee that that is definitely probably a huge factor behind your success and what skyrocketed your business as well. Because I know in this business, I've had many businesses. So I've been an entrepreneur for 22 years. So in this business, what has skyrocketed my business is honoring my ebb and my flow.
Yeah, totally. Like right from the beginning, I said sleep's a priority, the mindset, the yoga practice is a priority. And yes, we've just been doubling every year, tripling, 100K, 120K months, and growing at hyper speed. But even with the growth, there's not this force to it. It's like what feels good. And like you said, the intuition there, and you can really lean back and feel into, is this the path I want to take? Do I want to burn myself out getting there? Or do I want to flow with this and trust in that process, trust in myself, trust that I know what I'm doing, and ride the wave? Because it gets to be so beautiful, and building your business gets to be so fun and in alignment if you let it.
I love this because, I think, because of our conditioning, we're so conditioned into this, like, you got to hustle your way there. You got to, you got to push, it's got to hurt. It's got to be, like you got to work hard for money, all of these things and I grew up hearing all of these things. And I think most of us do to some extent, we do grow up hearing these mantras, almost like you got to work hard for money, and it doesn't come easy, and all of these things. And of course we get indoctrinated into that. And then when having a conversation like this that's super expansive, and anyone that's listening to this, it's kind of like, yeah, but it's okay for them, because it's okay for them, and then insert your little excuse du jour. But the thing is that I did it the hustle way the first time, burnt myself out completely. And then I was willing to actually not make loads and loads of money if it meant that I was in feminine alignment. But then I realized, like, oh, you could actually be very wealthy in feminine alignment. And in fact, it could be so much easier. and coming in. Give us some tips that really help, other than your sleep and your mindset and everything. Give us some more tips that help somebody to stay in that feminine alignment and really honor their body, because I think this is such an important conversation that's just not had nearly enough in the entrepreneurial world.
Totally. One, it's been quality of life for me when making the decision, because I'm a hustler. I'm a worker. Like, I grew up on a farm. My parents are like, if you're not working, you're lazy. So that's always been in my head. And so I had to look at what do I want my quality of life to be like? Sure, I probably can make lots of money pushing, but what is that going to look like? Am I going to have the vacations? Am I going to have the relationships that I want? Am I going to have the quality of life? And that was a really turning point for me to say, no, I want to be able to take time off when I want. I want to be able to go on vacations. I want that feeling in building my business. And that is really what anchored me into trusting that the feminine power way is the way that it's going to go. But for most women, what I tend to get them to do is track their cycles and understand the phases that they're in, if it's follicular, if it's ovulation, luteal, menstruation, because each phase holds such a power and such a wisdom. And there's a body screaming at you in each phase on what you need to do, especially in your entrepreneurship, but also in your lifestyle. So there's certain points when your body actually wants you to take a moment and probably nap or watch Netflix or read a book. And we tend to ignore that and push. And what that does is, because in different parts of your cycle, your stress response increases, you're going to get heightened cortisol. That's going to cause blood sugar issues. Now you've got cravings. Now you're tired. Now we're burnt out. So I get women to really dive into understanding where they are so that they can start making those connections. What's your energy like in follicular? What's it like in ovulation? How's your mood? Some parts of our cycle, it's the best time to launch a product because you are so uplifting, you're so positive, you're so confident, you're so like ready to get out there. Whereas other parts, you're really inward. So your energy drops, your mood goes in, your intuition is very heightened, but probably not the best time to launch a new product. So I really work with them on how to understand the changes in energy and mood and your confidence and how you show up, and how to align your business with that so that you're working with that flow instead of saying, okay, it's menstruation, I'm tired, but you know what? I'm going to launch this thing because I want to make more money. Instead of trusting, if you wait a week, you're going to have so much energy, it's just going to flow out of you so effortlessly.
I love this. And I think this is a big part of my own healing journey, was awareness. Just lots and lots of awareness in what my body was doing, what my mind was saying in response to that, and just really allowing that to be a call to action. Because I think quite often our feelings are never seen as a call to action, and that's exactly what they are. They are a call to action, but instead we're like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just eat all this chocolate, or I'll just, or I'll just stuff him down with a glass of wine, and then I won't need to feel this way for much longer, and it is. And I think that is part of it. Moving into feminine flow, I feel for me, what that has been is trust has been a huge part of it. And obviously the conditioning says you gotta work hard, and then you're doing it in the feminine flow where you're going to trust that the universe is going to provide, and you're going to trust in that what you're doing is enough, as opposed to this more and more and more culture. When we're in that trust phase, have you got any tips on how you can really anchor that trust into the body more? Maybe using, I don't know if you use anything like, like obviously you talked about meditation and stuff like that. And I'm a huge fan of meditation. It's been my lifeline some days.
Yeah, I love hypnotherapy too. I find honestly the biggest challenge, instead of the work and hustle, my work has always been the personal development. So if there's like that, I find is the most challenging part of my business at this point, is like, where are my triggers? Where am I playing small? Where am I not showing up? Where am I? Like, that is the work that's harder than any strategy. It's noticing the things and then working through them. So I use a lot of hypnotherapy for that. So I'll dive deep into that subconscious. What are the beliefs that I have? A lot of us have the fear of failure, the fear of success, the imposter syndrome, all that stuff comes through. And now I'm at a point that I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, bring it on, because I want to work through that. Because I know every time I do, there's another level of growth, there's another level of expansion. And with that comes the trust that I'm resilient, and the trust that I can grow. Someone told me the other day that I'm like, I think it's a lotus, and lotus flowers grow in
Yeah.
mud, I think.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I was trying to explain stress resiliency, and they're like, you're like a lotus. It grows in mud. It grows in any condition. But that's that belief that no matter what, I'm going to be okay. No matter what, I can do this. No matter what, I have something to offer, and that people can benefit from my words. And that was something that I just keep working on every single day, because it's a lot easier to play small. It's a lot easier to stay comfortable. It's a lot harder to say, you know what, I'm going to reach and I'm going to impact.
I think that what I always feel, and like what I hear from what you've just said, is like, the blame game is very seductive. Well, I can't get there because of this, right? Rather than looking at your triggers and looking at what in me feels this way. And you're at the same level that I'm at in the terms of, I actually really love getting triggered, because I'm like, oh goody, something new to work on. I'm like, I of course I have my human reaction where my head pops off my shoulders and I'm raging for about 2 seconds, but then come back into my body, and then I'm like, you know what, this is great, this is awesome. I'm so like so happy, because I've got something new to work on and start shifting in my energy, because you're right, that is the work, that elevates everything. And I feel like for me, that's the work that's created the effortless ease, because it's removing the barriers that are within you for allowing energy to come in. And I think many women, we are very, very blocked when it comes to ease.
Yes, we like shove our emotions down. I know I grew up believing emotions make me weak, emotions make me less than, hide it, don't cry in front of people. And I'm an emotional authority in human design. I feel things very deeply. So when you're taught, like, shove that down, do not feel that, then there's this, I describe it to my clients like a kombucha bottle. So you're constantly being shaken. The emotions are getting shoved down. You're not letting them free flow out your body until eventually you pop. Now you're burnt out. Now you hate your business. You're resentful. You're not growing. You resent your clients. And it creates this really tough dynamic where you don't want to show up because you don't like what you're doing. And instead of letting them flow through you and then evolving and growing, now you can step into a higher potential every single day.
I love that. And it is like that kind of really kind of a bottle with a bit of fizz in it that's ready for that cork to pop right off. And that's the thing, is that it is the internal shifts. The energetics is absolutely what has brought more success to my table than anything. So tell us a little bit about your 7-figure journey. Was that something from like day one, you were like, this is what I want, or was that a very organic process?
Yeah, so it started about 3 years ago. I had no idea what I wanted. I just knew I wanted something great. I wanted freedom to travel. So as a naturopathic doctor, you're very much tied to that time for money model. And a lot of NDs in my community, they're making 40 to 60,000 a year, barely enough to kind of make it by with student loans. Student loans are crazy, cost of living, right? It was just barely enough. And I decided in school that, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I had just this deep trust. I had this deep vision that I wanted something really, really great. So right out of school, I went completely the different direction. I said, I don't want this model. I don't want to take 10 years to build a practice. I want it now. So I started on the journey. I invested in a lot of mentors that did things very strategy wise. I followed it, but at the same time, I was big into energetics. So I took what I was learning and then tapped my energy into it. And we just grew so quickly. The first 8 months was 10K, and then it doubled to 20, then 50 to 100. So it grew very fast in the last 3 years. And my work has just been centering what feels good, what's in alignment, what do I want to do next? And we just keep evolving since that.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that you had the foresight to see your clients that you had, you know, like the, not your clients, but your colleagues getting on that rat race almost. And I know that the student loans for your particular ilk of work is huge, because I've got a few clients that are naturopathic doctors that have really, you know, it's a bit brutal, and it's, you know, and it's a lot of studying as well to get you there to where you got. And I love that you had that foresight to already be like, no, I actually want to look at how I can do that differently. So tell us a little bit about your business model. What do you do? So do you do like group programs and things and take people through a group experience?
Yeah, and I can resonate that. I started with $120,000 in debt and decided I'm going to pay this off in 10 months for some weird reason. And I did it. It's like all manifestation, which was so cool.
That's amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, my business model, I run programs. So I have my big one program, Macpherson method. And so women come in and then they get paired with a success coach who guides them and holds their hand through the process. So I do that. And then on top of that, I'll run smaller programs. Like I just ran a burnout event and then to a burnout program. I'll run like 5-day hormone events as well. All of them would lead into Macpherson method if that's what someone desired. And so that I run a bit off organic and then also Facebook ads as well. So I do a combination of the both. And then for my coaching side, my mentorship for NDs, it's just all organic.
It's amazing. I love that. I love that. And I love the work that you're putting out into the world. Tell us one of the biggest kind of, what's been one of your biggest challenges in your business so far? Have you had any that you felt like, wow, this is quite difficult?
I would say building the team has been the hardest for me. When you get to this
I
point,
feel you.
that just like came up, like that was been the hardest, even after all the personal work and the mindset stuff, but building the team, just knowing that you have this standard and you want a high-end brand, you want the best brand in the world and the best program. And for me, I had this belief that I will do it the best. Like I will do it the best and no one's going to be able to do it the way that I want it. So it was very hard for me to want help and accept help. So there became a point where the business was like at its peak, like it couldn't grow anymore. So bringing on people and not knowing the type of person I wanted, and just really understanding that the qualifications don't matter. It's really the energy of the person, especially with your business. You want your essence to match. You want them to be an extension of who you are when your clients are coming in. You want people to feel like they're getting a part of me in our team as well.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's been a hard journey for me, and not just accepting based on qualifications and the resume, but sitting down and talking with someone and feeling in their heart and knowing that this person has the same vibe that I'm emitting as well.
I love that. I've been really lucky. Well, I had a lot of trial and error in my first businesses, but in this business, I've been really lucky with employees. But when I first started bringing people on board, I wasn't ready for them. And I wasn't ready to let go. I was hanging on too tight. And actually, one of the girls that works for us now, Leanne, she worked for me right at the beginning. And she actually is the type of person that you want quit on you, because she said, listen, you're not giving me enough to do. So I literally feel like I'm ripping you off, getting paid for doing nothing. So, you know, I'm going to hand in my notice. And we still stayed friends because we'd been friends before that. But that's the sort of thing. But when I kind of had done some inner work on myself afterwards, and when we put the $1 million experiment together, I was like, God, I hope she can come back to us. And she did. She just happened to be at a place where she was ready for a new challenge. And I was more ready to like let somebody else play in my sandpit. But before, it was like I let her in, but then I grabbed all the toys and she wasn't allowed to play with any of them, you know, like it was just
watch.
Exactly. And it has been really, really challenging. And I came up against exactly the same things as you, like the belief that no one's going to do it the way that you do it. The belief that that maybe they won't get it. So then you might as well, you better get in there and micromanage a little bit and all of those things. And that's been such a, you know, hard thing. It's not actually really the outside person, it's me that's had to walk myself through that, and literally have a word with myself. And also as well, like you come to that point where you realize, like I realized in my business, I was the bottleneck. Everything was bottlenecking at me. And I needed to bring on a team that, you know, that could start to support me. But being supported, it really, because I had got to a very, very far place within my healing journey by that time. And so it brought up all of that again. Can I allow myself to be supported? Can I ask for help? And it took me to the next level of that, which I think such an empowering and impactful lesson, especially for women to be able to allow themselves to be supported, because I'm from that tribe that's fiercely independent and was the 2-year-old that was stamping her own little foot saying, I can do it, you know, it, even at 2. So, you know, like it was so hard, but I love that. Well, I don't love that you went through it because it's a hard thing to go through, but I love I'm not alone in that. And I think that there's so many women that go through, and that's the worst thing with hiring help, because in the mind, it's like, but this was supposed to be easier with people. And until you're really ready in yourself, it's not going to be easier. You're going to be the problem in it. And that's what I discovered. I was my own problem. I was my own biggest problem at that point. And it wasn't until I kind of relaxed myself and let other people in. And we had Mike Michalowicz, who has written the book Profit First. I don't know if you've ever seen that on the podcast. And we were talking about this as well. And he was saying, you know, one of the things he was saying is that you've also got to give the leeway for your employees to not always get it right. But then you've also got to allow them the kind of space to not only mess up, but then to actually fix it, rather than running in and micromanaging. Because if you always come in and micromanage, you never get employees that grow either. And
Exactly.
once I got that kind of bit, you know, I'd read that in one of his books and we discussed it on the podcast, and that was a real game changer for me to like, okay, I want a next level team. And now my team are absolutely next level, and they can anticipate my needs. And in fact, we were joking about that before, because I was trying to get you a link that you'd already been given for this call, because my team were so on it. But it's so beautiful. And it's been such, it's probably, I think it's also one of my biggest business achievements, like never mind the money that we've taken and everything. And I don't know how you feel about that yourself, if that's been a big achievement for you to get that team together, because I just feel like just I had to surrender so much.
Yeah, and trust in them, and but knowing that you can grow and expand, and I can create next level things for my clients if I have the freedom in my day. If I'm constantly on doing all the things that I don't have to do, it really pulls my energy from doing the things that are really going to make an impact. So it's trusting in them, and now being able to know exactly what I desire and the type of person that does beautifully in our business, and being the leader themselves so that they can mess up, they can fix it, and then they can let me know after and how we can make it more efficient so that, you know, we can create a business model that's just flowing beautifully. But it has, from the beginning, one of my things I wanted was a team. I wanted to feel supported by a team. I wanted to lead a team. I wanted to guide them, and I wanted to have a team of women that I could support them financially, and have a career that they love too. That was really important to me.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, one of the big things with my team was to have them also as well passionate about self-development, which is obviously what we do and stuff. And, you know, and really feel like, and I've got just a next level team. They fight over doing the timestamps because they love coming up to all the live stuff. And that's, I think that to me makes me ecstatically happy, because not that they're fighting, but the fact that they want to be so involved in what I'm delivering and everything like that. And that's really beautiful, because then I can, it's so easy to trust them when I know that they're so passionate about what I'm teaching, what I'm putting out there, and the lives that we're changing, which is really important. So if that was your biggest challenge, what's been your biggest surprise in your business? Has there been something that's like been really like, oh God, that's quite surprising. I wasn't expecting that.
I think the growth, like at the beginning, I had no idea what even to imagine. I remember being on a call for my first mentorship program, and she was like, okay, how much money do you want to make? It was a sales pitch. And I was like, I don't know, like 1,000 a month. I had like no idea. And she's like, 1,000? I was like, yeah, I have no money right now. Like I'll take whatever I can get. And so she got me to a place that I stretched it to 5K a month. That's where she stretched me to. That's where what I thought was possible. And when I got into this mastermind, I was seeing these women making 10K a month. So I said, okay, I can make 10K a month. If she can do it. There's no reason why I can't. And then, and then I saw an email that said, if you're making 20K a month, apply here. So I said, okay, I can make 20K a month. And so every step of my journey, it's just been seeing another woman do it. And I'm saying, okay, cool, it can be done. And then I step into that power, and then watching the time just fly by and how quickly we achieve it. 50K goal was the same thing. And then 100K. And now I'm like, what do I have to become to hit 200K? And it can be as easy as deciding I'm going to make $200,000 a month. And watching that manifest has been like, is this magic? What is happening here? That's been really cool.
I think and that's one of the things that I feel with these sort of goals, when we set these goals, it's not so much about getting them, it's about allowing them. Yes. It's such a different vibe, it's such a different energy. Mm-hmm. And that is where the inner work comes in, right? Because that's what's going to allow you to be open and available for such a goal. And unfortunately, with money, I always call money is like the greatest spiritual teacher on our planet at the moment. And with money, we love to tie up things like self-worth and all these sort of things. And so worthiness becomes such a big thing when it comes to money. And we forget that we were born worthy. And then we, like this. So the big allowing thing is really just, I've always felt that I've always quantum leaped in my goals when I've let go of something, as opposed to got something, trained something, do you know what I mean? Like an outer source. It's always been an inner thing that I've let go of.
Yeah, it's this complete detachment. I say this to my clients all the time. Yes, you can desire it, of course, but there can't be this attachment to it. If I don't make 100K months, then that means I suck and that no one likes me and that I'm not worthy and my stuff doesn't matter. That can't be it. It's always for me been, I'm going to help people. I'm going to make a difference at some point. And I wasn't attached to the outcome of when those numbers came in. And I think that complete detachment and just saying, I'm going to show up no matter what. I'm going to do this no matter what. I like this. This lights me up. I'm going to be here. And the money can come because I desire it. And that it gets to be a detachment and also staying strong in your desire too.
I love that, staying strong in your desire. That's really, because this is something that we've talked about inside the $1 Million Book. We've talked about working, that desire versus want, like wanting something, and then it coming from, I call it says it comes from the grabby energy. Energies, it's like trying to grab, it's like and then desires so loose and open and available and things, and it isn't detached in the same way as I want, which is coming from that needy place. And I think it's such an important thing, and it's such a skill to learn that to a certain degree as well, because we can really, really get into the stories of how much we need something. And out the window goes the fact that we've had 100% track record of getting through life. And out the window goes the fact that you've always had enough money, even though you might not think you have.
Exactly. Totally. I like to tap into the feeling of what it would mean to hit that desires. Like what would it feel like? And then I just embody it right now, because I know that I can have that feeling right now. I can feel that way about my life right now, whether I hit that goal or not. And that's really helped me too in detaching from it. But again, desiring the feeling, the essence of what that would bring.
I love that. I love that. We teach in my LightWeb program, we teach something called the mythical stage of the future as a tool, that if you're ever stuck and you don't know how you're going to get to the next level, you imagine a stage in the future and you get up on the stage and you tell the audience. But this audience, they need entertaining. They've paid good money to come and see you. So you got to make the story a little bit fun, and you've got it like this, and you get the, you know, and then you start to say how you worked the problem and how you came out the other end and how you're now like a total winner. And I think that tool in a way is such a powerful visualization tool, that if you can visualize yourself in the space, you will go there. And I think it comes really like I always remember from The Secret, if you can imagine it there in your mind, if you can go there in your mind, you can go there in your body. I think one of the guys said that on that video, The Secret, but it's always really, really inspired me. So I call it the mythical stage of the future. And you just got to put yourself there and pop that mic in your hand, and now you got to entertain those people with how badass you are and how you got through. And it's such a great feeling, because while you're on that stage in your mind, you're feeling all the feelings. Mm-hmm. And you're feeling that you did it, and it's that feeling of completion, and I've done it, and this is how and so quite often when I have used the tool myself, I've worked the problem I know exactly what to do in order to get there.
Yeah, we forget how much power we already have inside of us, and really I think evolution is just unlocking what we already know to be true. So I love that exercise. I do something called kind of future pacing. Mm-hmm. What does Alicia look like? What's she doing? How does she think? How does she feel about things? What's her vibe? And then realizing I already have it. It's already inside me right now. It's just unlayering those pieces and unlocking that potential to know that I can trust myself. I know what I need to do. Let's go, Alicia. Like, you can do this. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's so powerful. And you're right, we are so powerful inside. And I think years and years of conditioning of hearing that we're smaller than we think that we are. Living in the greatest, my spirit team, Skylar, that I channel, they they call the greatest prison that any human ever constructed was the fear of what other people think. Mm. And and so many of us live in that little prison. What will the neighbors think? What will my friends think? And we're so policed by that to a certain degree, but in being policed by that and living in that jail cell of, oh my goodness, what will other people think? We play so much smaller than we're capable of, and your absolutely meteoric success of bringing your business in 3 years to like 120k months and beyond is so powerful and shows how much potential is inside a human being to create something extraordinary. Thank you so much for coming and having this chat with us. Tell people where they can find you on the interwebs, and how they can get in touch with you, and what's the best ways to know all the things.
Yeah, totally. My main platform is Instagram. I am on there all the time. You can find me at Dr.Alicia Macpherson. I'm also on Facebook, but not as much, just mostly Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.